Hey guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another What Sold from last week video. In today's video, I'll be doing a sales breakdown on 3 different platforms that I sell on, which are eBay, Poshmark, and Depop. We'll also dive into some individual sales, talk about what I look for when I pick them up, what they sold for, some keywords I use, and how long they took to sell. If you guys like What Sold videos every single week and you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing to this channel because we do What Sold every single week. Let's dive into the sales. All right, so I'm doing things slightly different this week. I probably am not going to do this every single week, but you guys have asked for me to show a little bit more about Nifty and how I'm incorporating that into my business. I will say that I'm still fairly new to Nifty. I've been using them for a little while, but I'm still learning every single day. I haven't quite incorporated all of my analytics and numbers into this yet, but I plan to do so in the future. So I was just playing around with it today to see how I could pull what sold information for you and show you how you could do this in your own store. Something I love about Nifty is that it automatically pulls as much data as possible. So it can pull things like your fees, your promoted listing, and it can even pull your shipping and some other expenses if you have the right settings in your store. If not, you can still manually enter some of this information if you want to put it into Nifty. On the orders page, it shows you line by line pretty much how it starts from you collecting the money to every fee that you might have and gives you a total profit and automatically calculates that out for you. So if you're somebody that wants to look line by line on every single item, see which ones are maybe netting you more versus which ones are not meeting your net profit standards, and which ones possibly got returned because they do sync returns end-to and calculate that into your data, then it's really great for doing that. And personally, I love just kind of scrolling through these, even though for accounting purposes, I don't do line by line. I like going line by line, just looking at each individual item, see where I netted more or possibly which ones sold quicker. So it also automatically shows when it sold, how long it was listed for the site that it sold on, and it can be some really interesting data. I'm going to be using this screen today as I go along my solds to tell you how long the item took to sell. And also on your analytics page, you can input expenses, insights, and have a profit and loss statement. And so that's what I used for today's video to pull all of the information that I input into the orders for basically a what sold screen for you guys. Again, not going to do this every single week. I'll probably do a combination of pulling this and using my normal spreadsheet. One thing I really like about Nifty is that you can select which accounting method you have and switch between them. My average sale price between both of the platforms, which does include eBay shipping, is a little over $32. So I had a lower ASP last week, moving a lot of older inventory. My average profit per order was around $18, which is about what I hover at. And I had 111 sales. You can see the comparison by marketplace and how they pull some of this information together for me, as well as my average sale price on each platform. So just wanted to give you a quick glimpse into that and the data that it does gather. Now let's dive into those individual listings. All right, so we're starting off with one of my favorite brands. It is Elaine Fisher. I love this brand for all things reselling, pretty much every category. It is one of my best brands, both bread and butter and higher ASP. I try to stick to the larger sizes, but I also love pairing any size with great materials and substantial pieces. Linen is definitely one of the best materials to look for in Elaine Fisher. I've said that this before, but I really understand the Elaine Fisher buyer, and so I get excited every single time that I find it. This one was definitely a newer piece. It is a linen poncho, and so even though linen is more of a summery item, I could see this being layered, which is why we still went ahead and got it and decided to list it during this time of the year. I listed this one for $40. I actually have Nifty sending out automatic offers through eBay, and so this sold on an automatic offer to watcher for around $34, and this one only took 11 days to sell. Next up is something from Poshmark. These sales will be scrambled just for this week only because I pulled them from the Nifty report. This is one I had on Poshmark, and honestly, as a brand that probably even sells better on eBay typically for me, it is Kaya Baby. I don't sell a lot of kids clothes, but it is something that I want to tap into because there is so much kids clothing going to the landfill. There's so much of it at my Goodwill outlet, and I'm already there. And I feel like if I'm coming across it, I should just figure it out so that I can know what to flip. I know all the like luxury stuff that is pretty normal, all the ones everybody knows about, but there's a lot that I don't know about when it comes to kid clothes. So I'm learning that from Bethany over at Trash Pandas, and she's teaching that in the group. So I'm learning from that too. But this is a brand I did learn in just kind of a category, which are sleep sacks. This is a Kaya Baby organic cotton sleep sack. Anytime I see organic anything regarding baby clothes or really even adult clothing, I am looking it up. I had this one listed for $35, and again, Nifty sending out my automatic offers on every platform I list on, and this ended up selling on that offer for $29. This one actually sold the exact same day that we listed it on Poshmark, so super quick flip. Next up, this is a bins item. I've been picking up pretty much anything velvet burnout, including scarves, and we've been selling a lot of them. So this is completely unbranded, but it is velvet burnout, which is a very trendy material right now. I listed this for $25, probably cost us like, I don't know, like 20 cents, so lightweight. This sold within just 15 days of being listed for my full asking price of $25. All right, next up is a men's item. I have been talking to you guys about this a lot. And men's Henleys and men's thermals right now are great bread and butter for you guys to look for in just about any brand. Of course, do your comp research, but it's going to elevate that sell-through and ASP for you where you normally wouldn't be able to get this much out of certain brands. So Eddie Bauer is definitely not a brand that I look for, but in this style, this thermal Henley is absolutely something that I'm looking for. I listed this one for $25. It sold on an automatic offer to watcher for around $21, and this one only took 25 days to sell. All right, next up is another men's item. I actually do have quite a few men's items to show you, especially towards the end of the video. I just sold a lot this past week. This one was a J. Crew item. I love J. Crew men's pieces because you can factor stack a lot of them. This one was a merino wool sweater, men's V-neck. It used some different keywords like academia, Y2K, and 90s. I listed this for $25. It sold for my full asking price of $25 in just 41 days. Another Y2K piece, this one is a women's item. This was actually something that I was testing out. I got it from the bins, super cheap. It's not necessarily one of the like top items that I look for or like styles that I look for in Y2K, but it had some features like this fitted silhouette and the deep V-neck that I thought buyers would be looking for on us. So I said, let's test it out. So some keywords I used for this were Y2K, obviously hooded and preppy. I listed this one for $25. It sold on an offer to watcher for around $21, and this only took 28 days to sell. So that was a great test item and one I will definitely look for again. This is Patagonia. I think we all know that Patagonia can be a good brand, but surprisingly, a lot of resellers just pick it up anytime they find it. I actually find a lot of the styles do not flip quickly anymore. It's a very oversaturated brand, but the things that I do look for are the outerwear. If it is outerwear, that is absolutely something that I am looking up. And specifically with Patagonia, I want to look for the exact style to squeeze the most out of that item. Some styles are worth more than others, colorway, sizes. You guys get it. I'm very detailed when I search. This was something I got through wholesale. This is called the Nano Puff Jacket. Patagonia and North Face both have a down alternative, and both of those sell pretty well. And if I wouldn't have known that, I may have comped this a little bit differently just because it wasn't down. So it's good to know all of these things. They're down items obviously do well also, but their down alternatives have a really big following too. I listed this women's Nano Puff Primaloft jacket in a size large in a pink color, another trending color, for $65. It sold in just 7 days for my full asking price. All right, next up is a bread and butter item. This one is one of my favorite brands to get in plus sizes, one of the best bread and butter ones that I like to find. Very high quality. It is J. Jill. This is a size 2X knit type top. I listed it for around $30 and it sold on an offer for $26. This one took 74 days to sell. So what is that, about like 2.5-ish months? All right, I have a video about to come out. Actually, you'll probably see it maybe before this one, I think, of a lot of Depop sales. So this may be a slight overlap. So I've only shown you a couple Depop sales today, because you'll see them in that other video. But this is a fossil belt that sold very quickly in just 4 days on Depop for me. Belts is a category I really like getting. Really any category that most resellers skip at the thrift store or even at the bins. Those smaller things I really love digging into. I listed this one for $35, and like I said, it sold in 4 days of being listed for an offer of around $30, and I originally paid $5. Here's another bread and butter item. This is another plus size brand I like getting. I try to stick to super substantial pieces. It's Lucky brand. This is a 3X, which is a really good size in any plus sizes. Whenever I see 3X, it instantly boosts up sell-through rate and ASP for me, which you kind of need for a brand like this, because most Lucky brand items do not sell for $25. You got to bump up the good factors in order to get that price to reach $25. So I listed this one for $25. It sold for my full asking price of $25, and it only took 37 days to sell. Next up is a vintage Carhartt item. In the past, I've said pretty much it's just the canvas jackets with a few men's stuff sprinkled in. This would definitely be one of those exceptions, which are men's denim shirts. So not like denim jeans. Most of those don't do well sell-through rate wise. But men's denim shirts do. And really, anytime I see a men's denim shirt in any brand, it's a combination factor that I look for that typically increases value. This one sold in just 31 days. I listed it for $35, and it sold on that automatic offer for around $30. Next up is a completely unbranded item. This one sold on Depop. You can see it has over 100 likes, which is crazy. This is just a meshy, strapless Y2K top. I use the keywords mesh, fairy grunge, whimsy goth, and witchy on this one. We got this from the bin, super lightweight. I listed for $30, and it sold for my full asking price of $30 in just 5 days of being listed on Depop. All right, next up is another Eileen Fisher, again, one of my favorite brands. This is an organic cotton, so 100% cotton things do also sell well in Eileen Fisher. It's a category that I look for, and specifically sweaters during this time of the year. Really good. I also use the keyword sustainable because of the organic cotton. This was a size extra large, and it's just in a very classic navy blue striped, so it really fits that type of buyer. Listed this for $30 plus shipping, and it sold for my full asking price of $30 in just 31 days. Next up, we have another item that sold in just 31 days. This is the brand Peruvian Link. I don't know anything about this brand, but anytime I see a 100% alpaca sweater or a large amount of alpaca, I always look it up, and I usually get it for style reasons anyways. So this was a Peruvian alpaca sweater. So those two things combined me want to get it. But then also the just overall aesthetic of this was very cottagecore, which I included in my title. I listed this one for $35. In just 31 days, it sold for our full asking price. Next up is a pair of men's jeans. We found these at the bins, which is pretty much the only time I get men's jeans now because they're so expensive, full price at regular thrift stores. This is a buckle brand called Salvage Supply Company. This particular style in this particular size, which I recommend including in your search, had a good sell-through rate. We listed the Havoc Straight Slim Jeans in a size 32R for $35. And in 80 days, so towards the end of that 90-day period, sold for our full asking price of $35. Something I look for in jeans, if I don't know the brand, is like a thick stitching with that grungier look, almost as if they're, sold at buckle. All right, next up, this is just a bread and butter piece we got from the bins, but it sold in 9 days for our full asking price of $20, which is what we had it listed for. These quick flips, even into 20, is nothing to sneeze at because it's happening within about a week, and these items super pad my sales. Just so happens that this one did not have any brand at all, but you can see it has that Y2K baby doll style, has lace details, a bow, it's tightly fitted. We use the keyword coquette, baby doll, cami, and cream, because cream is a pretty trendy color right now as well. Next up is another brand I like finding in plus sizes. It is Bob Mackie. This is a 3X, again, paired with velvet, and it's a jacket. I don't typically like getting anything plus size other than tops, but because of all the factors, the size and the velvet, which is super trendy, we decided to take a risk on it from one of our wholesalers. I listed this for $30. It sold for our full asking price in 40 days of being listed. And we included the keywords velvet, artsy, holiday, and Christmas, really leaning into who and where somebody might wear this to. Next up is an item that we look for specifically at the bins, and that a lot of people pass on, talking about belts earlier. This is another category that I think people miss out on. It is cycling gear. So these are a pair of padded bike shorts. I prefer to find them in men's because they flip quicker, but even the women sometimes can do well. This is the brand Endura. I don't know much about it. 6-panel short, listed for around $30, sold on an offer for $24. This, however, did take 160 days to sell. So that is like 4 to 5 months. So probably wouldn't pick that one up again. And if I did, make sure I listed it a little bit lower. Okay, next up, this was a great sale on Poshmark. This one sold in just 37 days. This is a style-based item that you can make a lot of money on if you know what you're doing, and it is longer length wool peacoats. This is just a modern express one, but is elevated by its longer length, its wool, and it's in a classic style that people are looking for in a substantial piece. This is like the perfect item in really any brand right now during fall and winter. I use the keywords peacoat, wool, corpcore, professional, and formal. We had this listed for $80, and I quickly accepted an offer of $60. This was another item we got from the bins. All right, next up is a vintage Y2K dress. This is by the brand Liz Claiborne. This is just a super whimsy goth, kind of fairy grunge dress with a really nice silhouette, midi length as well. I listed this for $45. It sold in 80 days for my full asking price. Next up is a Poshmark sale. This is a brand I love getting in shoes called Merrill, and especially in the men's, I am looking it up. Similar to jeans, I'm looking at the style, the size, all of it, because I want to squeeze out the most amount of money and make sure that my sell-through rate is correct. But pretty much any men's Merrill shoes are going to do well. I priced these slightly lower because they did have wear throughout. They were called the Moab low top hiking shoes. I think I priced them for around $55-ish, maybe $60, and I accepted an offer of $46. These sold within just 8 days of being cross-posted to Poshmark. All right, this was a newer piece I got. This is actually a risk item. This is by the brand Plume. It's actually a nightgown, but I found it in the dress section. I was like, man, this looks like it could be Doan or Magnolia Pearl or Christy Dawn or something like that. And so I just could not shake it. So I looked up comps on Poshmark, and there were some pretty good comps, but because the sell-through rate was low, I priced much, much lower because of that. So I used keywords oversized. I used the exact style name called the Chloe nightgown in the English rose floral print, and included Nuba tags in my title. I listed this for $40. It sold on an automatic offer for around $34, and this was only listed for 6 days. That is why it is so important to price competitively when you have lower than around 100% sell-through rate. All right, next up is a category I look for in the men's department pretty often. It is men's cardigans. This is a men's cardigan in a size 5XL, which is a very large size. 5XL tall actually. Any kind of big and tall sizing in the men's department, I usually look up, because if you've ever been to one of those stores, they're super expensive and they're very specific sizes. So people are willing to pay a little bit up. This one is not necessarily like a higher end brand by any means, but it did have some good factors, and again, in a category, men's cardigans, that a lot of people are looking for. I use the keywords, obviously cardigan, the size, and then academia and teacher. Listed this for $25. It sold in just 11 days for my full asking price. Next up is a Free People skirt. This one is called the Sunny Stroll skirt. I look for only substantial pieces or larger sizes in Free People. This one had beautiful embroidery and was a longer length. Kind of made up a price for this, listed this for $40. It sold in 39 days for my full asking price. Okay, next up is one of my favorite brands to look for these days, which is Quince. I just picked this up from a thrift store for $4.99. This sold the exact same day that I listed it on Poshmark for, I believe, my full asking price of $50. So this is the brand Quince. Very high sell-through rate right now, and especially if you can find it in a substantial piece like a cardigan, gonna do very well. This one sold within 0 days of being listed. This is an item that actually took a while to sell, and I ended up accepting an offer that was much lower than I had it listed for. I think I had this listed for like 150 or something like that. It is a Brooks Brothers men's leather jacket, and great quality piece. Men's Brooks Brothers stuff perform extremely well for me. However, they can sit depending on what you have, and just higher priced items in general, not all of them are going to sit, but people are more reluctant to spend that much money. So for that reason, and it missing a button on the shoulder strap, I received an offer finally for $75, and I went ahead and accepted. I originally paid $10 for the item. All right, next up is a very Jesse Pinkman type item. I actually included that in my title. This is Christian Audigier, is that how you pronounce it? It is the designer that made, I almost said Tom Hardy. That's not right. Ed Hardy. Very embellished and has a decent sell-through rate. This was just a really great graphic. I listed this one for $40. It sold in 51 days for an offer of $34. I love finding anything Ed Hardy and Christian. I think it's pronounced Audigier. I sold another she-fit bra. I'm still coming across these all the time. This is one of their sports bras. It sold for what I expected it to at around $25. And that's usually what I am flipping these for. All right, next up is a men's Y2K piece. This one took just 76 days to sell, and it sold on an offer for $40. This is a great style-based men's Y2K piece. You guys are always asking me about men's style-based stuff. This is what I would look for. You want the Y2K brands that were popular, kind of skater-ish vibes or preppy vibes, and super thick. This one is called the Preservation Hoodie, which had some really great comps, and I accepted an offer of $40. Next up, this is a brand but sold on the website Huckberry.com, which is a place I would go to for like to look up bolos for men's stuff, high sell-through rate. You can actually see that it pulled Huckberry for Flint and Tinder. A lot of their stuff is high sell-through rate. These are a pair of men's chino pants I listed for $35, and they sold on an offer for $29. Next up, we have another style-based piece. This is a Jones, New York women's dress. This is a like whimsy goth style. It is a silk dress, and it is maxi. Beautiful colorways on this. And this one sold in just 23 days of being listed for my full asking price of $39.88, so $40. Okay, next up we have another one of those wool peacoats. This is the brand Express. Actually, I think that's what the other one was. That's so funny. This one is a men's longer length wool peacoat. Same kind of keywords, businessy, professional, corp, office. This one I had listed for around probably $65, and it sold on an offer for $51. This one sold in just 35 days of being listed. And lastly is another alpaca made in Peru sweater. This one took a little bit longer to sell than I would have liked. However, it did sell for a great amount, and after getting it reworked, sold in just 36 days. I paid, actually, you know what? this one did not get reworked. I listed this for a high amount or best offer, and it sold in 36 days after I received an offer for around $80. Yeah, so I completely forgot to make an outro for this video, so I'm coming back on to tell you that that's the end of the What Sold video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you like this format. Like I said, I probably won't do this format again, but there may be a variation of it in the future. Hope that you enjoyed a little bit of variety between the eBay, Poshmark, and Depop sales, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!